Good morning and welcome to Business Insight, where we discuss entrepreneurship, innovation, and anything business related. So if you're out there and you are a seasoned entrepreneur, or you are a small scale or medium scale enterprise operator, or are you looking to start off your own business, this is the show for you. This show is fully packed to help you succeed in whatever business. Before we start off on the show, we'll have the business news update coming to us by Alfreda. Stay with us.
Good morning and welcome. I am Alfreda Bessi. We begin our news from Nigeria. The Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC, has revealed plans for a potential gas exploration and production collaboration with Argentina as the country expressed interest in establishing business ties with Nigeria. This move is seen as a significant milestone for the NUPRC, attracting increased investments in Nigeria's oil and gas sector. The Argentinian ambassador to Nigeria, Mr. Alejandro Herrero, conveyed his eagerness to participate in gas exploration and production during his visit to the NUPRC. This interest aligns with Nigeria's broader gas ambitions under the Decade of Gas initiative, as it aims to significantly increase its gas production to meet domestic needs and explore export opportunities to Europe. The chief executive of the commission, Engineer Gbenga Komolafe, assured the ambassador of the NUPRC's commitment to fortify Nigeria's oil and gas sector through robust regulations and policies, and also highlighted Nigeria's shift toward production sharing contracts and the upcoming auction of uncommitted gas fields as part of the Commission's strategic initiatives, with a vision to achieving a daily gas production of 5.5 billion cubic feet by 2030. In a significant move towards advancing technical talent across the nation, the federal government has initiated the recruitment process for community managers under its transformative 3 million technical talent program, 3MTT. The Ministry of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy officially announced this development, emphasizing the nationwide nature of the recruitment effort. The ministry plans to appoint 37 learning committee managers who will play a crucial role in coordinating the activities of community members engaged in the 3MTT program. The Minister, Bosun Tijani, highlighted key responsibilities of the 3MTT community managers, which include leading, building, and maintaining the technical talent community within their respective states. These managers are tasked with animating and expanding the 3MTT community, developing strategies, metrics for success, and growth plans. Additionally, they will oversee the sourcing of resources and stakeholders to facilitate events, fostering a thriving environment for aspiring Nigerian technologists. The recruitment drive marks a pivotal moment in the government's commitment to nurturing a skilled workforce for the digital economy and fostering innovation across the country. This community serves as a hub for learners with full access to structured content and a supportive network of fellow learners. With the program's implementation designed in 3 phases, the government aims to train 30,000 individuals in this first phase, followed by 300,000 in the second, and ultimately reaching 3 million in the third phase. This recruitment of community managers is a strategic step to ensure effective coordination and success at each stage of the program. And a major business development, Broadcom successfully concluded its $69 billion acquisition of cloud computing firm VMware on Wednesday, marking the end of a months-long process. The deal, announced in May 2022, is one of the largest globally and reflects Broadcom's CEO Hock Tan's strategic efforts to enhance the chipmaker's software business. However, the transaction faced significant regulatory scrutiny worldwide, resulting in 3 delays to the closing date. The acquisition received crucial regulatory approval in China on Tuesday, alleviating concerns about the deal's completion before the November 26 deadline. Ongoing tensions between China and the U.S., particularly regarding chip export control measures, had raised uncertainties among investors. The approval followed positive developments in the meeting between China's President Xi Jinping and U.S. President Joe Biden earlier in the month, contributing to a more favorable environment for the deal's closure. Despite facing rigorous regulatory reviews globally, including approvals from the European Commission and the UK's Competition and Market Authority, Broadcom's acquisition of VMware has now been finalized. The completion of this substantial deal may influence the landscape of future technology mergers. The regulatory pressure and significant tech mergers, exemplified by Microsoft's recent acquisition of Activision, has intensified, reflecting a broader trend addressed by the U.S. Federal Trade Commission under Chair Lina Khan. And away from that, oil prices dropped by 4% on Wednesday as OPEC producers unexpectedly deferred their output meeting. Brent crude futures dropped 4.1% to $79.06 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures fell 4.2% to $74.51. The sudden delay in the OPEC meeting, involving major producers like Saudi Arabia and Russia, raised concerns about future crude production cuts. The rescheduled OPEC meeting on November 30 from the initial set date of November 26 prompted questions about potential adjustments to existing supply limits until 2024. The unexpected delay, reportedly due to Saudi Arabia's discontent with other members' output numbers, heightened uncertainty. Analysts had anticipated discussions on extending or deepening oil supply cuts before the postponement. Oil benchmarks, Brent and WTI, sustained 4 weeks of decline amid rising supplies, demand worries, and economic slowdown fears. The unexpected meeting shift added tension to the market, with analysts emphasizing the pivotal role of OPEC decision in shaping oil prices. The postponement introduces uncertainty, and analysts warn that decisions favoring a rollover of cuts could further impact oil prices in the coming days. Stocks, commodity, and market trends comes next after this break. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. At the close of Wednesday's trading session on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, NGX, a total of 428,443,260 shares were traded in 6,677 deals. This corresponds We apologize for the break in transmission. At the close of Wednesday's trading session on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, NGX, a total of 428,443,260 shares were traded in 6,677 deals. This corresponds to a market value of 7,373,014,568 naira and 78 kobo. Compared to the previous NGX trading day, which was Tuesday, Wednesday's data indicates a 13% decline in volume, a 129% improvement in turnover, and a 2% improvement in the number of deals. The current market capitalization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange stands at 39,100 billion naira. In total, 117 equities listed on NGX participated in trading, concluding with 36 gainers and 15 losers. Unity Bank led the gainers with a 10% share price appreciation, closing at 1 naira and 54 kobo per share. This was followed by RT Briscoe, Dow Communications, and Macure Industries. On the losing side, C&I Leasing recorded the highest price depreciation of 7.56% at 5 naira and 26 kobo per share. This was followed by Prestige Assurance Company, International Breweries, and UPDC Real Estate Investment Trust. Veritas Capital Assurance recorded the highest trading volume with 62.1 million shares traded, followed by Unity Bank, Guarantee Trust Holding, and United Bank for Africa. And it's a wrap on the business news this morning. I am Alfreda Ambe Basi. Business Insights continues with Adesua Eromoseli. Stay with us.
For that business news update. I'm Adesua Eromoseli, and today on Business Insight we'll be discussing food security in Nigeria. Yes, food security in Nigeria. Many Nigerians are not even aware that they have the right to food, but they actually do. It is our human right, that we have available access to food at all times. And it's even in our Nigerian constitution, it says every Nigerian has a right to, so it is, the government owes Nigerians, this right. We are supposed to demand it. They actually owe it to us to ensure that we have the availability and accessibility to food at all times. Anyway, to discuss this very crucial topic, we have a guest, Engineer Edith Ozumba. Yes, I'm sure you're wondering why an engineer will be talking to us about food, but aside being holding a degree in chemical engineering, as well as having certifications in coaching and counseling, she is also a professional baker. Yes, and she has been in the baking industry for 22 years. Wow, that's a long time. And she's also a manufacturer for 12 years. I would like to ask her, what exactly do you manufacture? But let me just finish with her profile. All right, so, and she also possesses a proven track record of successful launching and managing of 2 businesses, both of which have grown to 8-figure enterprises. Wow, that's a lot. All right, and our expertise, extends to areas such as food processing, bakery, raw material production, business planning, business structure, marketing, feasible report, and waste management. Welcome to the show, Engineer Edith.
Thank you.
We sincerely apologize for that glitch in transmission right there. So as we were saying, Engineer Edith, or do I call you Chief Chef or Chief Baker Edith? Which would you prefer?
Actually, people choose what to call me depending on the way they relate with me. Okay. Some people call me engineer, some call me Chief Baker, some call me Mama.
Okay. All right, we'll just call you Madam on this show. Okay. All right. So, what exactly do you manufacture? I'm curious. I'm inquisitive to know.
I manufacture raw materials for specifically cake makers, those that are into cake making. So we do things like ready-to-roll fondant. We actually pioneer for ready-to-roll fondant. And we do things like cake syrup. We are pioneer for cake syrup, and we still remain the only cake syrup in the Nigerian market. Mm-hmm. And we do edible colors for coloring food, any kind of food, both confectionaries and any food, even those who do barbecue and all of that, they still use that. We do things like icing sugar for confectioners, and things like cocoa powder, baking soda, baking powder, and all of that.
That's quite interesting. So if you're out there and you're looking to delve into this kind of business, you better reach out to Engineer Edith. She's right here, okay? All right. So, madam, how would you rate food security in Nigeria? Do you think we are still at that point where, our food security is still very, very shaky? Do you think, and how has it impacted your own business as a baker? How has it impacted your business?
Okay, the first thing I would like to do is to let us understand what food security is in the first place. I want to introduce a layman understanding to it. When we talk about food security, let me liken it to the security man you have at your gate. When you want to employ a security man, you want to be sure that this man will be able to provide your home security. You want to be sure that this man is healthy. You want to be sure that he's capable of securing the environment that you want him to. Okay, so when these things are not in place, you know that your security is not assured in that home. So bringing it back to the food security, one of the things we want to look at in food security is it safe? The food available to us, is it safe? Is it available? Is it nutritious? If these three things are not being met, then we cannot say we have food security. Because sometimes we eat food because we want to just fill up our stomach. It's not what we want to eat. We just eat because that is what is available. So if it's not meeting the nutritious value that we intend to have, then we don't have food security. If it's not safe enough, then it's not security enough for us. Then if it's not available, then it means that we are still not having enough security. So food security is when we have all of this in place. It's meeting the dietary value of the reason why we are eating it in the first place. It's also meeting availability, like it's available when we want it, when we need it, it's available, and it's safe.
Okay, interesting. You
mentioned safe for consumption.
Consumption, yes, of course. You mentioned availability of nutritional food, right? Nigeria is said to be one of the greatest or one of the highest importers of food in Africa. Now, how has this impacted you? As someone who bakes, how do you source for the raw materials you need for your business? You know, are they coming from other parts of the country, and how has the importation of these food items, how has it impacted your business?
Okay, I would say that for baking, almost, or if not more than 80% of the raw materials used in baking is imported. Talk about the flour. Yes, we have wheat. Like, it's not like we cultivate wheat. We import it and then refine, then use. Sugar, the same thing. We import, then we use. And you talk about margarine or butter, the same thing. We are importing, then use. Then I think the most available one is like things like egg, because you still have to source for egg locally, no matter what. You have to source for egg. So it's importation for baking materials is almost like 80%, if not more.
Okay. Now, in your opinion, this is a challenge you've already highlighted. How do you think we can navigate this challenge and, you know, come out of it? What can we as Nigerians do better to ensure that we are not solely dependent on the importation of food into the country? We can actually, you know, manufacture our own food right here in Nigeria.
The best way is to strengthen the manufacturing industries. That's the best way. If we continue to import, it will continue to weaken. We can't solely say we cannot import. It's actually impossible for a country not to import. It depends on the ratio of what you import and what you source locally. If your rate of importation is more than your rate of locally sourced material, then it's a problem. So there is no country that can totally eradicate importation. So I think it's impossible to do that. But for Nigeria, if we strengthen the manufacturing company, it will help a lot in a way that we export more rather than importing more. So in the baking industry, coming back to the baking industry, we have a lot of potential of even producing a lot of things that are being imported. Take, for example, when I started producing ready-to-roll fondant, the first thing I was told is that it's impossible. It's impossible to do it. But I looked at it that for how long are we going to import fondant? And I took the bull by the horn. I said, I'm going to do what it takes to get it done. And I started it in 2012, and by 2013, it became a reality. We had like 3 different ready-to-roll fondant that was being imported into the country from UK and from US. And as I speak to you now, it is only our own locally produced ready-to-roll fondant that is now in the country, and some other people who has also started importing. So we have like 3 companies now producing ready-to-roll fondant.
Wow, that is amazing. Well done. Okay, now Nigeria imports, you said something about importation being inevitable. We can't avoid it. We just have to import at some point. But when we are importing things, food items like fruits, vegetables, even this, cocoa.
Yes.
We have cocoa here. Nigeria exports cocoa, right?
I'm also coming to that.
We export cocoa, and then other countries take our cocoa and refine it, make it chocolates, and then sell it back to us. Isn't that a fundamental problem?
Yes, it is. And I actually took it up to myself to research on this chocolate. It would be amazing for you to know that while I was in school, precisely 1997, I was in year 3 and I was researching on preservatives, while my bosom friend then was researching on chocolate. So we were looking at each other's work. He looked at my work to see what I was doing, and I looked at hers. And that was where I picked interest on chocolate, because I realized at that time, she was really finding it very difficult to go to any company, to get data for her research, because they were not existing. There were no place she could go to get data for the research of chocolate. And that made me to realize that, why are we not producing chocolate here? Why? But after school, I left it, and she traveled. She lives in the UK now, and it was dumped. But 2 years back, I took it up again. I said, I want to know why we're not producing chocolate in Nigeria. But I got to find out there are about 4 companies who have started producing chocolate in Nigeria, though it's in a very small scale, and they have a lot of, I understand they have a lot of challenges, really a lot of challenges. One of it is our weather. Once they are done, the weather melts the chocolate. So they are still trying to find out what to do to make their chocolate remain like at least semi-solid. Okay, so they keep giving supermarket different small fridges to store the chocolate, and I found out that some of these fridges they give to supermarket, they are not even using it because they are not even well educated. So it's still a big problem. Yeah, chocolate production. Okay, and some other items that we export and they bring back to us as finished product too.
Indeed. Yeah. Thank you very much, Engineer Edith. We also have virtually joining us virtually Dr. Ajuwon Olusheye. He is a PhD holder in economics. Yes, and he's also a lecturer in the Department of Economics at the University of Lagos. He also holds a PhD in development finance from the University of Stellenbosch Business School, Cape Town, South Africa. Good morning to you, Dr. Ajuwon.
Good morning. I need to correct that. I don't have PhD in economics. I actually have my PhD in development finance from Stellenbosch University in South Africa. But my first degree, master's up to MPhil level is economics. And I'm also an economics lecturer at the University of Lagos.
Okay, that must have been an oversight. Thank you for that correction. Now, Mr. Ajuwon, Dr. Ajuwon, I beg your pardon. As a professional economist, what would you say about our food security here in Nigeria? How has it impacted our economy?
When we look at the law, I am an economist and I'm not a lawyer. But when you look at what the law says that you must have access. Having access is not the same thing as actually having, the food with you. Having access that it must be available. But the law then says about, after it's been available, how you get it. Everybody knows that you need to have money in your pocket to get food. But that the food should be available, yes, the food is available, which is what the law says. But how you are now going to get the food, the law is silent about that, which means you need to bring money out of your pocket to buy the food. That's what we need to understand. So I'm now coming to the situation of things in the country as regard the increase in the price. We can now discuss on that. I don't know whether I've answered your question, or I should go ahead and discuss about the increase in the price level.
Okay, we'll just go to some other aspects of this topic. What do you think are the key factors, of food security or insecurity in Nigeria? What are the factors? Because we know Nigeria has there are a good number of challenges, in Nigeria, be it our drainage system or governmental policies, so many issues. But what would you highlight as the factors that bring about food insecurity in Nigeria?
If we really want to talk about the factors, leading to the production of food in the market, you realize that Nigeria has one of the lowest agricultural productivity in terms of the yield. What I mean by that is, if you look at, for instance, take yam or beans and look at how much yield we have per hectare. In all agricultural products, Nigeria has one of the lowest yield productivity in agriculture. And what is causing that is the adoption of technology. There are so many things we are not doing right as a country. We are only interested. God has blessed us. I think that's why we are, misbehaving in this country. Reason being that God has blessed us, we have good land and we have good weather that, encourage farming. If you go to some other countries, let me give an example. Since I have lived in South Africa before, I will tell you that South Africa has a double land mass to that of Nigeria. Their land mass is twice, at least twice that of Nigeria land mass. But the problem is, it is only 12% of that land that is, what's this word used? That is arable. That is, it is only 12% that you can grow food on. 12% of the whole land mass. And out of that 12%, some percentage of it is having problem with drought. As in, they don't have enough. For instance, in Cape Town now. In Cape Town, when they say it's raining, you enter into the rain and say you call this one raining. In Nigeria, this is drizzling. So they have serious water problem in Cape Town. That, in fact, all through the time I was there, it was always a prayer point. They've never witnessed anything called thunder. And once there is no thunder, that tells you that the water level there is really, really low. So the 12% of arable land in South Africa, I can assure you that more than 3% of that land, is difficult to even, cultivate on them, because you have to get the source of water, for the anything you plant on them to actually grow. So when you look at this fix Nigeria, where we have, large percentage of arable lands and enough rain to actually wet any plants in them, then that makes us to be lazy. And these are one of the reasons why Nigeria really needs to wake up and do the needful. Our technology adoption is really, really low in Nigeria. And that's why our productivity, our yield per hectare is low.
All right. Now let's speak to trade policies, because earlier I was speaking about how it is the right of every individual to have access to food. It is our fundamental human right, But what do you think government can do with regards to trade policies and international trade to ensure that Nigerians have, available food and access to food in the country?
I have spoken about this, that, having access is like, saying that a school is available. Everybody must be able to go to school. But being able to go to school, having school available for you to go does not, tantamount to you being in the school. So you see, when it comes to access, I don't think there's any market when we go to in Nigeria and you will not see food, being sold there. So having access is not a problem. But talking about now, the international trade, because you are bringing in another dimension to it. Bringing in international trade into it, you realize that the greater percentage of food that we are eating in this country are being imported, which is an aberration upon us as a country. And it's something that we really need, to really work hard on. If there is anything, Nigeria as a country, we are supposed to at least be able to produce enough food, not importing food. But when it comes to availability of food, I don't think we have any problem with that. The food is available. Is the price, that is not encouraging.
Right, Dr. Ajuwon. Now, from the economist perspective, what would you say about investment into the agricultural sector? Do you think that would help a bit in ensuring food security in the country?
When you are talking about investment, let me start from what the last government in the country did. I'm talking about the last President Buhari's regime. One of the policies that the last government focused on extensively was on ensuring that we are able to produce enough food, for us in the country, as well as security. Don't let me talk about the security, let me talk about the food aspect. We saw a lot of investment in rice and the mill that, the processing mills that will process that rice. But when you look at the huge amount of money that was invested in the rice production, fixed, the availability of rice in the country, in Nigeria, you will realize that, so of what benefit is that investment? Because you cannot correlate the investment with the availability of rice in the country. I can still say categorically that like 30%, if not more, of the rice we are consuming in this country is still coming from outside the country.
Indeed. Indeed, we are still importing rice, even in this time, despite the ban. I think the ban has been lifted for a while now, but it is really sad to note. And now, coming to you, Madam Edith, what do you think government can do differently to, to help Nigerians? Because food is like the very basic need of any human being. So if you can't have everybody having access to food, then isn't that a sorry case? What do you think the government can do differently?
First of all, I think the government like I said earlier, need to strengthen the manufacturing company so that we will do less of exportation of food. Exporting the canned food, exporting the processed food, rather than exporting the raw one, the finished raw one, and bring back to the country. So the government can strengthen the manufacturing companies to process food and export, rather. I also think that the government can help with the roads. I tell you, this past few months has been terrible. It has really been terrible. And when you ask the people bringing in the food, why is it this expensive? They tell you, we are spending so much on transport. Like the last truck man that lifted some of my goods, when he was coming back, I asked him, what's the problem? He was like, we're spending too much on diesel to bring these things here. But to take goods to outside of Lagos to the north is easier because we almost run empty. But coming to Lagos is a big deal for us because we spend a lot. And I was like how much? You can't believe it. They spend more than $1 million on each truck, just one truck, to fuel it. We are not talking about the servicing. We're not talking about the labor involved, just fueling. So you can imagine the state of this truck when they have to spend so much just on diesel. Servicing it becomes secondary. Labor becomes secondary. And you find out that some of these trucks end up breaking down on the way, and the whole food they're carrying is another story entirely. So government can help us with the road so that this food, because more than 40% of the produce from the farm ends up
We apologize for that break in transmission. Madam Edith, you were talking to us about government's policies in ensuring food security.
Yes.
Can you continue, please?
Yes, I talked about that government should help in strengthening the manufacturing industry so that they can export finished goods rather than encouraging finished goods being imported. I also talked about good roads. At the moment, bringing food products, raw materials from the north is too difficult. I asked one of the truck people who normally bring things for me that this is too expensive. Why are you people charging so much? And he had to explain. He said, Madam, we spend more than ₦1 million on diesel alone just to come from maybe Yobe, Meduguri, and all of that to Lagos is too expensive. And this is a truck. The whole of that million, we have to put it on this food material before we sell. We have to make profit.
And the brunt is back on the consumers.
Exactly. It's back on the consumers and the manufacturers, because we also use some of these raw materials to manufacture. And once we are done, we have to make profit, because that's the essence of having a business.
Indeed. Indeed. Now to you, Dr. Ajunwan. I hope you're still with us virtually.
Yes.
Okay. So we'll be rounding up the show in a few minutes. But what are your thoughts? Because apart from all of these challenges, we also have some other ones with regards to our drainage system, because we have issues of farmers complaining that during the rainy season and all of that, the flood comes and sweeps off their harvest basically, and then they are back to square one. What do you think can be done to prevent this kind of occurrences so that we can have more food in circulation in Nigeria?
Actually, when it comes to the issue of infrastructure, because that will be considered as part of infrastructure in the country, we have a lot of challenges on that, and it is not something that can come to an end overnight. It will take a while before all these issues can be resolved. And while that is ongoing, we need to understand that government finances is limited, and that is what is creating all the problem. So, but I am sure the current government will make sure that they do a lot on actually providing the suitable and sustainable infrastructure, good roads, so that the vehicles moving will be able to move freely, and all the erosions. I remember Governor Soludo said about Anambra State sometimes like a month ago that almost 50% of the land in Anambra State has been affected by erosion. So it's a serious problem that is affecting so many parts of the country. And I'm sure, the government of the day is also hearing, and they will, they should do what is needed to avert, those problems.
Insecurity, where farmers are scared to go to their farms, to do anything there because of the issue of insecurity in Nigeria. Anyway, we would have to round off the show. But first, Madam Edith, you want to give us your final thoughts on this topic. What are your final thoughts? What do you think people should just bear in mind? What are you leaving us with today?
Okay, while we wait for the government to do something, I think we as a person, especially the baking industry, we can help ourselves too. And one of the things I would say do for yourself is continue to try and do your market research, do your customer persona, and know what they really want, so that you will diversify what you give to them. You will give them varieties and continue to be in business. I will also suggest that you buy what you need as at when you need it, so that you minimize waste. Because the more you have waste, the more your cost of production will increase, and it will reduce your profit. I will also say that you collaborate, so that you will know what is happening. You will know how to bargain best, especially with your suppliers. You collaborate even up to with your competitors, so you know what is happening in town, so that you will not be a lone ranger and lose out entirely. So always collaborate.
Well said, well said, well said. And to you, Dr. Ajunwan, you want to share your final thoughts with us?
I would say, the current situation of the current situation of things in Nigeria now require that everybody needs to wear their thinking cap properly, because as an economist, I can actually see rougher roads ahead of us. And the English people will say, tough situations does not last. It is the tough people that will last. The situation we are in Nigeria today requires that we all wear our thinking cap, because the road ahead is definitely very, very rough.
Indeed. Many thanks to you, Dr. Ajuwon, rather. Thank you very much for joining us on the show. And to you, Engineer Edith, thank you so very much for showing up, coming physically on the show. We thank you so much. All right, and on that note, we draw the curtain on Business Insight today. Many thanks for joining us. Join us again tomorrow for an even more insightful package. I'm Adesuwa Iramoseli. Good morning.
Good morning.